In one of my last videos, I explained how the dream characters are kind of like our spirit guides, and they put together these very complex situations for us to undergo to see if we can handle the situations and to better prepare us for it so that we can be prepared, or if they see that it was not handled correctly, to not place us in that situation in our actual life. And you can't exactly go through the situations appropriately if you are lucid and aware of what's going on. And me being so frequently lucid, and I try not to be because I can tell that they are getting really annoyed, but I can't help it. It's like I get so obviously lucid constantly, and even whenever I tell myself before I go to sleep, just have a dream, just let it go, just even if you are lucid, just go along with it, I still end up somehow messing it up. And here are a few things that have been happening because I keep messing it up. I need to tell some background knowledge before I explain this dream. Whenever I was a child, I lived in this house on this street called Idlewood. And so in a lot of my dreams, I'm going to refer to the Idlewood house because I dream about this house, and there's really, honestly, to me, it doesn't seem like there's anything special about it, but I dream about this house like 5 times a week, and it is so old that whenever I realize that, oh, I'm dreaming again, and I'm in this house again, I go kind of ballistic because I'm so over it and annoyed. The dream starts out, this particular one that I want to get to. I woke up in my house, the one on Idlewood, again. I went and got in bed with my mom. I was talking to my mom, and I realized that she was strung out on drugs. There was needles and just drugs all over the bedroom floor. My mom has never done anything like this ever. And I found that this was actually offensive, and I was very annoyed that the dream character was portraying my mom as like this strung out, woman on drugs. And so I told the dream character, I know that you're not my mom, and I know that this is a dream, and I find this very offensive. I told the dream character, who was acting like my mom, to please change their form. It was refusing to change. So I started to strangle the character, and it started to laugh at me. I told the dream character that I was stronger than it, and that basically I was like a god to it. The dream character turned into a black computer screen, and I just left the house and went into the street and started screaming, "Why can't I just have nice dreams? Why do I always have to dream about being at this house?" And then I woke up again and was back in the same freaking Idlewood house. I was so annoyed that I instantly walked outside. I walked through all the walls. I walked through the door. I just did like a straight line through the entire house. Didn't bother pretending that these walls were real, pretending that this door was real. I just walked right into the street, and then I started to scream again, and then I started to float in the air, and then was like instantly shocked into a different place. And when they try to put me in different places, I know that they're trying to confuse me back into being into a dream again and make it more believable. And this works. It does work. Like the most of the time when I'm lucid, if all of a sudden the scene changes super fast and confuses me, I will instantly forget that I'm in a dream. But this time when the place changed, I still remembered that I was in a dream, and I was floating in the air, and there was a guy who was walking underneath me. And I was so upset with the dream characters and offended that they portrayed my mom as this horrific woman strung out on drugs that I picked up the guy who was walking under me. It's like he didn't care that I was just randomly floating in the air. It was like that was normal, I guess. He was a bit aggressive towards me when I picked him up, And so again, I told him that this was a dream and that I'm basically a god to him. I smashed him into a basketball and threw him through a hoop, and I tried to unravel him, but I got distracted by a nearby party. And then all of a sudden I was at the party and I was sitting at a table, and there were two older women at the table. They were like in their late 50s, and they were very nice, and I still knew that this was a dream, and I was happy to see that there were nice, pleasant dream characters that I was around. And so I ended up kind of resting my head on one of the older women's shoulders, and she told me that I was in someone else's dream. And I asked them to show me the person whose dream I was in, and said that it felt cool to be a dream character this time. They were very apologetic and scared to show me who the person was. Like, they did not want me to mess this whole scene up for that person. I then asked them if they were dead, and they said yes. And I said, "Will I see you when I die? When will you get to come back to life again as a new person?" They started laughing and said that I would have to speak to Seth. I have no idea who Seth is. Seth isn't exactly a name that is common to me. I looked up the name Seth, and it doesn't really mean anything. There's no, anything attached to it. With this dream, I remember a lot of the answers to the questions that I asked. I know I asked basically probably the same 10 questions every single time I'm lucid, and by the time that I wake up, I do not remember a single answer. And so I was very surprised that I remembered so many of their answers and what exact questions I asked of them. But I was more so confused because I had the feeling while I was at this party that was somebody else's dream that I was being babysat. I was being pushed off, as if my personal characters didn't know what to do with me anymore, and so they just kind of were here, just sit in this other person's dream for a little while until we figure out what to do with you. I think that I've just gotten to where I get so ballistic, and I get really upset when I realize that I'm in a dream and everyone's trying to pretend like they don't know that I know. I get really out of control, and I try to tell myself not to, but it's kind of like my subconscious, whenever I'm sleeping, if that is my subconscious that's awake, that's going on in my dream, it forgets that I told it to just keep pretending that this is the dream. And I know that I have said in a past video that the people in your dream genuinely love you, in which so far until last night I really thought they all really love you. But I had another stupid dream that I was in the Idlewood house last night, and there was a character who was yet again playing my mom. I realized that it was a dream, and the character that was playing my mom asked for me to do something. And I told the character, and I tried to be very nice this time. I said, "Okay, you're lucid. Your main goal is to be nice. Just be nice. Stop acting crazy when you realize it's a dream. Be nice to the characters. Don't be mean to them. Don't say things to them like, 'I'm your god,' or whatever. Don't act crazy, even though the dream is crazy. Try to act cool and be cool with them." So I told the person who was playing my mother, "I'll pretend I know that this is a dream, but I'll keep pretending that it's a dream only if you tell me who you really are and why I keep having to come back to this house on Idlewood. Why?" And basically every single dream I have, it revolves around this house. I'm tired of this house. I tried to be very nice about it. And so the character that was playing my mother looked out the front door. We were standing by the front door, and the front door was wide open. And there was this green, humanoid, fish-looking, very scary entity. And the person who was playing my mother looked very scared of it, as if she's not allowed to say that, or that she's being controlled by this green thing that's peering in through the door. And then I did notice that the green thing, it's very strange detail that I picked up on. The green entity scratched its neck with its left hand, and I looked at the character who was playing my mother, and at the exact same time she scratched her neck with her left hand. And so I don't know if the character that's playing my mother and the green entity are one and the same, or if the character that was playing my mother is a different entity that's being controlled by this green one. And that wasn't the only interesting part about the dream. When I started to become ballistic, because I looked at the green entity and was like, okay, you're the one. What is this? Why do I keep being brought here? What are you? Tell me answers. I want answers now. I started to get really upset and getting like out of control, like I usually end up doing, that I have been trying to avoid. But the green entity tried to scare me, and that just made me even more angry. And so me and the green entity are fighting. And I walk out the door, and we're in the street, and we're fighting, and we're also flying at the same time in the middle of the street. We're about 12 feet off the ground. And I remember distinctly thinking, you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me, because I know this is a dream. There's no way. I've never felt pain in a dream before. You can't hurt me. And the scary part is the green thing started to hit my right under my rib cage, and it hurt. It actually hurt, and it hurt really bad every time it would hit me. And so that really is like a whole new thing that I'm worried about now, because whenever I get upset and start to throw a fit when I realize that this is a dream, and I start to kind of belittle the dream characters, even though I don't try, it's like for some reason whenever I'm sleeping I'm really cocky and I'm really arrogant, and I'm just really like, I'm not who I normally am in real life. When I'm in a dream, I'm like Miss Know-It-All, very, I don't know, like the gesture of a fist. Like when you squeeze your fist really tight, that's like my personality sometimes when I'm in the dream. And I'm like that because I'm not scared of the dream characters, because usually they break down and start to cry and tell me that they love me, and they change their form for me or apologize, and they seem very weak. But this one in particular was not weak, and when it hit me, it actually really hurt. And when I woke up, I looked down at that spot under my ribs, and it doesn't hurt, but whenever I pretend to hit myself, it feels like it feels the exact same, like I'm getting hit in the ribs, the lower part of my ribs. So that's just a whole new thing that I have to worry about now, is the characters actually inflicting pain on me in the dream. And I understand why they do, because I'm such a bitch in the dream, but I tell myself not to be before I go to sleep. And then I forgot that I told myself not to do that, and I just get so caught up in the moment that I just lose it. Anywho.